Hey guys, Carrot here with a new video. If you guys remember, back in about November of last year, I showed off my Pokemon Plush collection for all you guys to see. And since then, I have acquired 3 new plushes, which I have out in front of you. So I'm going to go over them as kind of an update to my collection. So the first one is one we have right here, which is a Pokemon Center large-size Ho-Oh. This is a recent released one. I actually got just last Christmas. And what you can really tell is that this is a very accurate plush. Starting off, we have the head, which has this nice shape. Got nice embroidered red eyes. Have the beak that is actually open with a little detail on the inside of the mouth and the tongue, and has a felt crest here, which is nice. Has nice stitch detailing to give the details of the 4 feathers that make the crest on top of its head. We have the wings, which spread out nice and tall, all the way up like this, and it is a bit layered. We got the first layer with the supports built in along here. Have the second white layer, which has a slight change in fabric and is outlined along with the different feathers, as well as the wingtips being a much stiffer kind of and rougher plastic fabric rather than plastic now. Fabric than the others. The neck doesn't really have a changing fabric for the green neckband, and coming down we've got a slight changing fabric between the orange parts and the white belly. The feet also have more subtle kind of fabric, and the tips of the feet, the talons, have the same fabric as the white belly. Going around to the back, we've got the tail fin once again, which has some stiff and slightly rough felt, with a bit softer felt for the tips. And it's got these 3 different layers, just like that. And this Ho-Oh doesn't quite like to stand up too much. I mean, it seems like the only way I can get it to stand is by resting it on its tail feathers. And that works some of the time, sometimes it doesn't. So moving on, we have this one, which is a Bon Presto Pokemon Strongest Class set for Lucario. This is one of those UFO catcher ones, what do you get in the little claw machines in Japanese arcades. Very nice. Starting off, we've got the head. We have a long snout that does extend out and does have stitching to outline just how the pattern goes all the way to the back. We have the dark gray mask part. Extends all the way around to the aura feelers on the back of his head, which have a bit of floppiness to them, but they are sewed so as to look like there are 2 of them, rather than just 2 singulars. The ears are nice and pointed with some vinyl added for the black parts of the ears. Has, as is typical of Pokemon plushes these days, some nice embroidered eyes with some white for the white of the eyes, and then some kind of dark orange pupils, and the black parts. Coming down, underneath the nose, we do have this little stitch in mouth, which is accurate to how Lucario is. We've got the chest, which is a light yellow fabric, with the little collar spikes that are actually separate pieces. Separate piece that's basically all lined up, but is separate from the rest of the body. Has the chest spike, which is right here, small. It is stiff enough so that it keeps its shape. We also have the gray armbands here, which are also stiff to keep their shape and work well to hold out the arms in place like this. The arms share the blue fabric of the blue parts on his head, and shares the gray fabric with the banded parts. It is so that you can see the different fingers, even though it's one solid piece, and has the spikes on the back of his hands, being this, it's a little bit felt-like, but it seems like a strong felt that's not going to deteriorate. We've got a vinyl band here to separate the body from the lower portion. Goes all the way to the back where we have a continuation of the collar spikes. Have the tail here. Does move side to side and is stiffed, so it is stuffed so it can keep this same shape. Got the legs, which have the designed up, first beginning with his design that is like fighter's shorts, and then with the lower parts, which form the lower legs and the feet. And we've got pink vinyl detailing along the feet as the paw pads, and also has stitching to indicate the separation of the toes, even though there is no actual separation. I did cut off the tag because I do that, because the tags, they just bother me. Now, another thing I want to know about is that this is very, very much accurate in terms of color. You've got nice regular blue and nice dark gray. The eyes are the right color. You've got the light yellow chest and the pink paw pads. Now, setting this down, and we can then compare it to my older one, which is the Pokemon Center Pokédoll Lucario. Now, what we can see is a dramatic difference. We can see that what happened with this Lucario is that it is based on the Lucario Pokédoll item that can be obtained in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. And so it really took some liberties here. You can see as they basically line up all the colors, where this is a much lighter blue, there's a lighter gray, the orange is a much lighter color. The fur that's supposed to be a light yellow on the chest is completely white, and they have a lighter pink for the paw pads, and the difference being the paw pads are embroidered just like the eyes, as opposed to where this is vinyl just kind of put on in these dots onto the paw pads, as the paw pads. Another difference is just how they embroider the eyes. For this Lucario, the Bon Presto one, it's completely, every bit of the eyes is embroidered on, as opposed to this one where just the iris and the black of the eye, well, just the iris and the pupil are embroidered on, while the white of the eye is actually, it's a little bit of fur with some embroidery for the outline. And they did also kind of cut down on his proportions. As you can see, they really kind of scrunched together the aura feelers on the back of his head. They kind of shrunk down his ears, as well as gave him a much less pronounced snout, which reveals the mouth, which is a more frowny mouth than Lucario should have. Though the tail is a little bit slimmer, and it was a bit more slimmed down than the one on the Bon Presto Lucario. And another thing to note is that I have actually seen a re-release of this plush. Now, this is the initial American release that I got as part of the Pokemon 10th anniversary tour across America. And when it originally came, it had its arms stitched to its thighs. Now what I did is I kind of stretched it out and clipped and used scissors to cut off the strands that were attaching them, and on the re-release, the arms are separate from the rest of the body. They aren't stuck down by the sides. Though I noticed that there might have been a bit of a manufacturing error with this one, or maybe with that first wave, because it seems like the right arm is a little bit longer than the left one. And the spikes on the back of his paws are really kind of nubs. So, yeah, while this is, the first Lucario plush I got, and it still holds I still hold it in a special place of regard, I can honestly say that this one is the better Lucario plush. It's, as can be seen, it's definitely bigger. It has better proportions. It's still cheapified, but does show good details. And I guess one of the major selling points of this is the major color correction as opposed to this. Because when it comes to plushes, I like them to have the correct colors instead of this, it's almost a kind of a bleached palette. So there's that. And last but not least is this, which is a big-sized Pokemon Center Reshiram. And we'll start from the top, which is the head. You got a nice head shape. You got the face with detailing to outline where the nose is. It has some very interesting eyes to it. They are embroidered like is typical and are blue, and have the pupils, but they also have these 4 marks as a kind of a separated ring around the pupils, which is something I have never seen before in any kind of eyes, whether it be that of Pokemon or anything else, which is quite interesting. It has a kind of a fur collar, mane, or whatnot that goes around here. It has these 2 parts that stick out like flames, though within a real Reshiram, they're a bit more flat down with the 2 wisps that extend out back here from the head. And they're also nice, have a good shape, and do extend out a pretty good length. Moving down to the neck, we see these silver bands, which hold up some of these fur tufts that are sticking out. And this is it's a much shinier kind of vinyl. I mean, I guess I describe this material as vinyl. I'm not completely sure what it is. It might be a little bit more of a leathery vinyl or some kind of lacquer, which is my guess, but I'm not an expert on fabrics and things that are used to make these plushes, I'll admit. But yeah, you have these nice silver vinyl bands that go all the way around to the back and do hold these tufts of fur up. Then we can get to the chest area, which has this kind of crest of feathers or fur that sticks out here and does extend down to the crest formed down here. It has a couple of stitch lines for little bits of detail. Then you have the thighs, which have this kind of soft part, which is, it seems like it's kind of felt like in its stiffness, and yet it has a nice fabric feel to it within. It's got a nice spiked pattern, and does stick out, and there's one on each side. The legs have the haunches that extend down into the feet, and there doesn't actually seem to be a fabric change between the legs and the feet, though there's a lot less fluff on the toes, both the front ones and the back toe. we have the wings, which extend out with similar stays to the Ho-Oh plush that's right there. It has these silver parts on the back of the claw parts, which are definitely made of a good strong kind of felt right here, and do flop around a bit. You have also the rest of the wings, which has these separations as well as stitching to help indicate these separations as well. And we can then move on to the tail, which you see right here. It's got these bands that extend all the way out to the back, 3 of them, and they're held in place by 2, not just by the stitching, but also by 2 more silver vinyl bands, which are nice and shiny and really smooth to the touch, as well as the end part, which is kind of stuck within here. And interesting enough, it's not exactly stitched in place, and as you see, I'm rotating it right around, just like this. Though, I guess it's preferred to just keep it upright like that. So that's what I do. And so we have 3 nice new additions to my collection. I'm glad to have them. They definitely are good quality. And it shows that there are various places that really do make good Pokemon Plush. And Japan is the masters when it comes to this. Because what I'm going to say right now is that both the Ho-Oh and the Ho-Oh and the Reshiram here are American Pokemon Center releases, but they are basically the same ones that were released in Japan by the Pokemon Center. And this one here shows that Bon Presto is, just as good, if not a bit better at doing Pokemon plushes compared to the Pokemon Center. But yeah, definitely these are 3 nice new plushes, and I'm glad to have them. Especially the Lucario, which does make, a good improvement over my old one. So yeah, definitely these are some good plushes. If you like any of these Pokemon, then these are good plushes to pick up for them. So, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share my blog at krx50.blogspot.com. And for now, this is KRX50, writing off.